So hello and welcome. Welcome to our 62nd annual meeting of Brattleboro Housing Partnership. I'd like to call to order today's meeting. My name is Elisha Underwood, and I'm currently hold the position of the chair of Brattleboro Housing Partnership. I first want to thank you all for being here. It's really great to see so many familiar faces and some unfamiliar faces, so thank you for joining us. I'll speak a little louder. Can you hear me in the back? Okay, thank you. So I am so grateful to be here, to have the opportunity to serve on the board and with all these amazing people, and to be able to have the privilege to meet and work with the staff at Brattleboro Housing and some residents. I've had the privilege to meet some of you and work with some of you here this year. So I'm again really grateful for you all being here. I first would like to start with some of the successes that we've all seen over the past year. The first is that I'd like to highlight is the new playground that was installed at Ledgewood Heights this year in May. With all of the staff's help, with some community help and some resident support, we were able to install a brand new safe playground at Ledgewood Heights. And it's beautiful. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it. It's great. The other things that I've seen is we've been able to welcome some new staff positions and expand some resident service positions. We were able to create new resident opportunities through grant funding and began stages of redevelopment at Melrose and West Brattleboro. Brattleboro Housing Partnership is a small organization who is tasked with serving hundreds of people, managing 8 large properties with complex needs. Without collaboration, Brattleboro Housing Partnership would not be able to do this important work. I am so grateful for those who choose to work in partnership with Brattleboro Housing Partnership to improve our community. I'd like to hand it off to some of my fellow commissioners who would like to share why they choose to be a part of Brattleboro Housing Partnership.
Hello, my name is Michelle Wright. I got involved in the Brattleboro Housing Partnerships because I'm interested in the health of the community. I'm a nurse at the hospital, and I know that housing is a key driver in people's health and living their best lives. And so that's why I got involved, and I'm so grateful and impressed every day.
Thank you, Michelle. Hello, everyone. I am Susie Walker, and I'm pleased to be on the board. It's important to me because previously I was the director of the Turning Point Recovery Center, and I got to work with the partnership and meet several of the people on this board and in this room even, and I got to see up close, which makes sense. You know, that housing is so critical to so much that comes more in addition to that in people's lives. And so it's a real privilege to be here to work with these folks and to get to meet you all.
I'm Pat Green. I am from Brattleboro. I worked at the Holstein for 42 years, and when I retired, I moved right into housing. I've been in housing 19 years last month. And I really wanted to see the inner workings, how the wheel turned for housing, being one of the housing tenants. And when my husband passed away, I became very involved.
Great, thank you so much. And unfortunately, Gary Stroud, our 5th commissioner, is not able to be here today, but I'm sure he sends his support. He's a very active member of the board. So welcome, everybody. It's nice to see everyone. And I have a long speech that I would like to share, But I realize right now in looking at everybody that I kind of want to just like pick out some of the pieces of it. I'm going to start by saying, first of all, it's really nice to see so many of your faces in the room. It's great to see staff and also our residents and also a lot of our community partners. This is our 62nd annual meeting, which is incredible. So Brattleboro Housing Partnerships has been serving people with low and very low incomes in the Brattleboro community for that long. This year, we have seen a lot of wonderful things happen in our neighborhoods. We have seen residents come together to organize some pretty amazing community events that have been really vibrant, everything from Thanksgiving dinners to huge Halloween parties at our family sites. And we've seen a lot of neighbors helping neighbors during difficult times. And we've also seen a lot of big accomplishments like creating a new playground that was designed by some of our youth leaders. We've also started the groundwork, foundational work to redevelop Melrose Terrace. We've created several new positions on staff. And we've just done a lot of work to upgrade some of the properties, including some of our laundry facilities and other upgrades throughout Brattleboro. But while there are so many positive things happening around us, it also feels like a time of uncertainty. We've dealt with hard things for a long time. We've always dealt with hard things. We've dealt with floods and fires and human tragedy. But for whatever reason, it feels a little different right now. And I think part of it is that way because our community feels a little afraid. Things seem different than they have in the past. I talk to people all the time. People call me up on the phone. If I'm on a property, people have my ear. I read complaints. I talk to community members. I'm on several boards. I talk to those people. And everybody is saying the same thing. People are feeling frustrated. People are feeling scared. They're seeing things in town that they didn't see before. And they're watching people struggle in ways that we haven't seen so visibly before. And I think during that time when you're watching people struggle, it can be kind of normal to just isolate a little bit and pull back and not want to connect. But I have to say that sometimes is my gut instinct too. But right now, I'm realizing how much we need each other, that we're not going to get out of these community problems by ourselves. We're not going to get out of these community problems by having one person in charge of everything. We're only going to get out of these community problems by working together. And so this year, it felt so appropriate to stand up and talk a little bit about all the partnerships that are going on behind the scenes, because I think those are the things that people don't see that often and don't get recognized. And there are so many pieces that help to support our community and the neighborhoods that we serve. Right off the top of my head, I'm going to talk a little bit about a partnership that started a few years ago. Elizabeth Bridgewater, who's here today from Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust, came to me, and she started talking a lot about building more supportive services in their housing. And we found that specifically at some of our family sites, we just didn't have, people weren't able to connect to the services that they need. And so about 4 years ago, it's hard to tell, it's amnesia time, we really started to get the ball rolling, and we received funding for the SASH, Support and Services at Home for All program. And we collaborated on this, and we built this program together with the help of lots of our staff members, Jake Bursky and Lorelei Morissette. We've had amazing nurse on the team, Jess Grover, and now we have Jeff Rose. But we piloted it with Wyndham Windsor. And the thing that's so important about that is if we had done that by ourselves, A, it would have been a lot harder, and B, it would have probably not worked because we would have been looking at it just from our lens. But by partnering with Wyndham Windsor, it allowed us to talk through challenges, it allowed us to see challenges at other housing sites that were similar, and it helped us to brainstorm how to really make this work. The program is now in its third year. We've tripled participation. The programs and the community partnerships have grown exponentially. And it's a huge success, and it hopefully will be modeled all around the state. I'd say another partnership that I'm really proud of came from a really unlikely source. I never really felt like I never really felt the need to collaborate with the police department. And to be honest, I was a little nervous about it because I'm afraid of the police, right? They enforce the law. They make me a little nervous. They carry weapons. They were a little intimidating. About 15 months ago, June of 2023, we decided, and we talked to Wyndham Windsor, that we really wanted to start meeting with the police department monthly. And we did that not in a way necessarily because we were looking for more, stronger enforcement on our properties, but because we were really looking for ways to better collaborate. We could see that they were frustrated, we were frustrated, and to start talking about what we could do to solve some of these problems. It helped a lot, because when we are dealing with some big issues on our properties, now we have a relationship. We know the people who are coming to the sites, we can talk to them, and if we can share information with them, we're able to, if it's not confidential, and they can share information with us if it's not confidential. And it's created a way for us to feel like we have a little more power when we're dealing with these really, really big systemic problems. And now the police chief and the assistant chief and the town have come up with lots of plans to support the community. And one of them is a team called One Brattleboro, and I'll tell you a little bit about that. It's a group of local leaders, and some of them are sitting in this room right now, who come together monthly to talk a little bit about, to talk a lot about the issues that we're seeing in town, and to create some programs around safety, but also programs around supporting people where they live, and supporting people in getting the resources that they need. And this group of very smart, caring leaders who primarily live in town really want to create this change that they see as being the Brattleboro that they know and love, and to bring out more of the good stuff and then support the people who are just challenged in other ways. And so I really encourage you, the way I encourage my staff and also myself when I get up some days that are really hard, to think a little bit more about just that it's not just a one-person problem here. We as a community are facing a problem together. We're not going to get out of this problem by yelling and screaming at each other. The same way as we wouldn't get, if you've ever had a family fight, you know that fighting amongst each other doesn't get a lot done, right? But when you sit back, you take a deep breath and say, these are the things we want to see in town. These are the things we want to see in our housing. These are the things we want to see in our community. Then we can actually get some things done by having these conversations. So I think if I could leave here with one thought of what keeps me going and what keeps, I think, most of our staff going, is that we really believe we love this town. We want to see people happy. We want to see people housed. We want to see people safe. And we're not going to get that by ourselves. And so by collaborating with lots of community partners, it's the only way we're going to get that. So in this time, if you're a resident, my only advice to you would be, yes, of course, let us know when something's wrong. But also reach out. We've brought lots of resources. We have a whole list of people to reach out to. And connect with your neighbors as much as you possibly can. Connecting with your neighbors is going to create a much stronger community. There's power in numbers, there's power in voices, and so keep doing that as much as you possibly can. And I thank you all. I thank the people who are here, who tell us when something's going wrong, and that way we can address that. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to our team. We have lots of people here who are going to talk a little bit about the collaborations that they feel are the most important to them. And now I'm going to preface this with saying, we're going to leave out a lot of organizations. We collaborate with a lot of people. So we're going to leave out some of those people. And for those, I sincerely apologize. But it's really important for us today to talk a little bit about what the collaborations look like and why they're so important. I also am going to say one more thing. It is not easy to get up in front of people and talk. It's nerve-wracking, it's scary, and a lot of the people who have been asked to do this is not their, they have a lot of superpower skills. This is not maybe one of them. So give them a smile, maybe offer a round of applause after they speak, offer a little bit of, send them some love, because this is a hard thing to do. So I'm going to start with Matt Artesi, and he's going to introduce himself and then talk a little bit about his program and his collaborations. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to try and hold this where I can speak and read at the same time. So I'm Attest. I am the LEAP coordinator and services grant manager. So LEAP stands. Oh, a little bit more? Yeah. All right. So LEAP stands for Learning Employment Academic Program. And so some of the partnerships I picked out of the ones I work with often is Hireability in partnerships with Weber. Hireability Vermont is an employment and career development resource for Vermonters living with a disability. They connect passionate employers with local employees eager to find talented workers. They also provide ongoing support to help ensure continued success on the job from day one and into the future. The services provided to our participants range from career counseling, resume building, and job searches to provision of adaptive equipment, one-on-one job coaching, advocacy, and education to our local employers who work with the individuals. It has allowed our participants to find meaningful work opportunities where before a perceived disability may have overshadowed their abilities. Another way that we have connected to benefit our residents is through the Workforce Partner Meeting and Job Line publications. Both these outlets allow for exchange of information and about innovative local employers and programming, for example, the weatherization program, available through local providers, as well as providing a list of available employment opportunities and job fairs being hosted around the region. So the second one is VDOL, known as Vermont Department of Labor. Provides a myriad of resources for job seekers, from job postings, their hot jobs list, and tools for prospective employers, resume help, career counseling, and interview skills, to a point of contact for unemployment benefits and training opportunities. Job seekers and employers alike look at the latest job market information to see what employment sectors are trending, skills required for advancement in career pathways, and training available in certain career fields. Most recently, we have partnered with VDOL to host local job fairs where they can interact with a subset of employers and have an opportunity to discuss a variety of training available. That's page one. And so third is Brattleboro Development and Credit Corporation. They do a lot of economic development, education, market analysis, and investing in the financial well-being of southern Vermont. Some of the collaboration we did with them is their Vermont Career Pathways, which is an innovative application that provides a user with an AI-driven tool set designed to help local job seekers understand their own skills and how those same skills can translate into employment and or education opportunities. This application also allows job seekers to create and submit resumes tailor-made to showcase their skill set. This has been made available to our job-seeking residents and has been a great aid to those who have been out of the workforce for some time, as it has brought to the forefront many of the employable skills they may have developed despite not actively working. The other piece is their Welcoming Workplace, which is a landing spot and suite of services aimed at helping new Vermonters transition to life here in Vermont. These services and partnerships can help with everything from education, language skills, cultural skills, and living arrangements to employment and legal advocacy. They also work with local employers to build a welcoming workplace culture and reduce any potential barriers to successful employment. And finally, but not least, is the Windsor Housing Trust. Their mission is to provide permanently affordable housing solutions in southern Vermont through property management, homeowner education, low-cost loans, and financial assistance and advocacy. Through our work together, we were able to provide our residents with an opportunity to attend the home ownership course on one of our properties. LEAP was able to pay for many of these attendees through our grant, while hosting the course on one of our properties allowed for residents who may have had transportation barriers attend. So I'm going to pass it over to David DeAngelis.
Thank you, Matt. I can't follow that act. Excuse me. So for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is David DeAngelis, and I have the pleasure of overseeing a couple of different entities with Brattleboro Housing Partnerships. The first is a very specialized housing program for homeless and disabled folks called Shelter Plus Care. And then there's another program that most of you are familiar with called Section 8, that is primarily what's called a housing choice voucher. But there are also other arms to the Section 8 program to share with you as well. There's what's known as a project-based voucher. There is what's known as a mainstream voucher. And there's also what's known as a choice, what I want to call for our RAD participants, have a choice mobility voucher where they can eventually, should they so desire, convert their subsidy they have with us to the kind that they can use anywhere in the country with a private landlord. So that's one part of me. The other part of me is the grants administrator, of which I oversee 3 wonderful grants: the Shelter Plus Care that I mentioned earlier, the Family Self-Sufficiency that is really called LEAP in our programs, and also a Resident Service Coordinator grant that we've just recently been awarded and are looking to break ground on that in the near future. But Matt has already broken ground on that several months ago, so thank you, Matt, for that. As far as any kind of public speaking, I think I want to open with my conclusion. So my conclusion is that there was this guy from Greece about, a gazillion years ago or so, and he had a little too much time on his hands, so he was just always thinking about weird stuff, but sometimes good weird stuff. And I was kind of thinking back to hearing about him when I was in 6th grade, and his name was Aristotle. You know, it's like, who? Aristotle. Of course, Aristotle. Well, Aristotle had a statement that really rang true to my ears, and I want to share that with you, which is, and I quote from Ari, "The whole is more than the sum of its parts." So I just want to read with you briefly that the whole is more than the sum of its parts. Insightful quote by Aristotle encapsulates the concept that when several elements come together, they create something greater and more significant than their individual contributions. In simpler terms, it suggests that the combined effects of various components surpasses what each component could achieve on its own. 2 examples, and one for me is my musical background. I love the violin, but you know what? I really love a violin and a harpsichord and a cello and some flutes, maybe a French horn, some trumpets. Let's put a timpani in there. Let's add a couple of more fiddles, and you have a symphony. Some of the parts, pretty impressive. Another example would be even in visual arts. You look at a picture, well, that's a nice picture, but you know what? What happened when we went from black and white television to color television? Ooh, it's a whole new world. Why? Because of the sum of the parts being greater than the whole. So keeping that in mind. To share with you the sum of the parts for our Shelter Plus Care program, now here's a transition for you. Think of our Shelter Plus Care program as a 3-legged stool, that there are 3 primary components in order for that program to be successful. Obviously, rental assistance is necessary, and for those of you that don't know what Shelter Plus Care is, it's a federally funded program for the homeless who are disabled. And we've been administering this program for well over 20 years. And we are so blessed by some of our community service providers that have been with us for over those 20 years as well, that I would be remiss not to mention Groundworks Collaborative, HCRS, a new player in our field called Pathways to Housing, are our 3 strong components for the supportive services fact of the program. That means that in order for you to get housing assistance, you must qualify and have supportive services. The other interesting factor in all of that is we don't pay them a dime. All the case management services that are provided for the homeless in the Shelter Plus Care program are being provided by our partners in the community on their dime for their labor and staff costs and all the other accoutrements that go with an employee. So that's leg number 2, okay? You need case management, you need help paying the rent. And leg number 3 is, of course, the landlord. Now, what landlord in their right mind is going to want to rent an apartment to someone who is homeless? Are you kidding? I've got 97 other applications for people that are working, that aren't disabled, that aren't homeless, that don't have a dog, that don't need this, that don't need that. But you know what? We do have those landlords in our community. And those landlords are your neighbors. believe it or not. I was looking at our roster of landlords in both Section 8 and Shelter Plus Care, and out of, say, a total of 150 housing participants in both of those programs, 30% or approximately 50 are private landlords in our community. You know, you once maybe heard them called mom and pops. You know, I've got an apartment over my garage. I've got, you know, in my basement, I've got this little efficiency apartment that maybe I can fix up a little bit for somebody. We are so blessed by these 50 private landlords in our community, in addition to our service providers, to fulfill that need of the three-legged stool. So that is Shelter Plus Care. One of the other wonderful factors of Shelter Plus Care is you can stay in the program as long as you need it. We're not going to push you out. We certainly encourage the participants, once they do get housed, to consider some future housing options. And that is viable for most of the participants, but most is not all. So there are some people that have been in this program for over 20 years, and that's okay. They're housed, they're safe, they're progressing, they're living life, and it's very rewarding. Section 8, multiple tentacles, as I mentioned earlier with Section 8. There's a housing choice voucher, a mainstream voucher, a choice mobility voucher, a project-based voucher, a mainstream. Did I mention that one as well? Just to be redundant? Good, okay. And those subsidies provide rental assistance in the community, again, with a private landlord. And most, I don't want to say most, I want to say 2/3 of the 150, so that's 100 participants, are probably under contract with housing entities such as Wyndham Windsor Housing Trust, Westgate, A.W. Richards, Adair Heights. Again, I'm going to be remiss in missing somebody. Heim Properties houses a lot of folks as well with our Section 8 voucher. But as well, there are numerous private landlords with maybe 1 or 2 apartments that you've never heard of before that have opened their doors to low-income people and provide them stable housing for years. So again, we're pretty blessed in our community to have them. You know, they're the silent warriors that are out there for us every day, providing housing for some of our most vulnerable. So I want to thank you.
All right. That's where the sweat starts coming off me. Hello, everybody. I'm David. My name is David Wright. I'm a SASH coordinator, and that's the traditional SASH, Support and Services at Home program. We have some incredible partnerships that make our work possible and benefit the residents that we serve. SASH focuses on helping Vermonters live independently and with dignity in their own homes, while also ensuring that they have the resources and support that they need to thrive. Here are some key partnerships that enhance our services we provide and show how they make a real difference in the lives of our residents. Can you hear me now? Good. First, oh my Lord. First, I want to speak about our collaboration with Senior Solutions. Senior Solutions plays a critical role in supporting people 60 and above, in providing them with the guidance and the resources they need to age well in their communities. Through this partnership, we're able to tailor support to residents, helping them navigate the challenges of aging with confidence and independence. Another essential partnership we have is with HCRS. That's Healthcare and Rehabilitation Services. This partnership enhances the care and support that residents receive by addressing both physical and behavioral health needs. Through our work with HCRS, we're able to ensure the residents have access to mental health services, counseling, health monitoring, all within the framework of SASH. This integrated support system empowers our residents to manage their health effectively and improve their overall quality of life, all with allowing them to remain in their homes, in their communities. Next, I want to reflect about our previous partnership with the Visiting Nurses Association, or VNA. The VNA provided crucial in-home nursing services that support the health and well-being of our residents. Through this partnership, residents had been able to access skilled nursing care, preventative health services, and health education, all of which being essential for maintaining independence and preventing hospitalizations. And finally, I want to talk about our partnership with the Vermont Food Bank. This collaboration is especially impactful to our residents who may be facing food insecurities. Through our work with the food bank, we're able to provide access to nutritious food and ensure that residents have the means to maintain healthy diets. The benefit of this partnership extends beyond physical health. We are also fostering a sense of community and support to those who need it the most. And in conclusion, these partnerships are just a few examples of how SASH is working together with other organizations to ensure that the residents have resources, care, and support they need to thrive as they age. Whether it's through Senior Solutions, HCRS, VNA, the Vermont Food Bank, we are proud to be a part of a network that is deeply committed to enhancing the lives of our residents. Thank you. Now on to Susanne.
Hello, everyone, and especially hello to all of our participants that have chosen to come. I don't know, am I doing something wrong? Okay. Can you hear me down in the back? I am here to talk about the other very important collaboration that we have between SASH and BMH, Brattleboro Memorial Hospital. And that is a relationship that we are very much dependent on in all of what we do with participants on the program here in Brattleboro. BMH sends referrals to us, both via their primary care offices, and there are many, and also via inpatient stays. If people have been hospitalized, we also receive referrals from there. We also sometimes get our own referrals, and then we inform the hospital when we have signed somebody up for the program and execute a use and disclosure with them so that we can speak with the hospital about what goes on with our people. We respond to requests for home visits if people have trouble with their medications, if people need an accommodation in their bathroom to be able to shower more safely. Those are some of the things that they reach out to us for. We participate sometimes in discharge planning, where we are contacted by care management and discuss what the person needs when they come home. We follow up with people after ER visits from BMH. We follow up after inpatient stays. We advocate for people when they're in the hospital. We participate in team meetings with the hospital. Sometimes we have people that utilize ER and hospital services excessively, and then we try to come up with a plan of how we can better support people in their home. I just wanted to give an example of a real life participant who has given me permission to speak about how SASH has impacted her situation. She is a younger woman. She is 62 and lives here in Brattleboro. And we received a request to do a home visit back in February this year because she had not been to see her doctor for 2.5 years, or 2 years perhaps, following a fracture of her knee and following a chronic ulcer on her lower leg. When I did my first visit at home with her, I noticed and realized that the woman had lost her ability to walk. She had lost her ability to stand on her own 2 feet and was living her life in her bed with the help of a partner, with a dog by her side, but without being able to get to the bathroom, to the kitchen, to do anything. So, very compromised situation. But with my assessment at home, we were able to get a ride established with an ambulance so she could go in and see the doctor for the first time in a couple of years. This was a necessary step for her before they could get home health services involved. So then home health services got involved. Beata has worked with her on and off now through those months that are past, 10 months, I think. She has now, with the help of SASH, also joined the long-term Medicaid program that allows for her to have assistance at home 5 days a week. She has a case manager through the program, and she has received a wheelchair, and she has worked really hard. This morning she told me she can now get up from her own bed into her wheelchair, and she can get around her own house. That's a huge step. The next step is a handicap ramp so that she can actually go places with a regular ride, a wheelchair ride. So step by step, this woman is getting back to her life, her goal being to get to Connecticut to visit her aging mother, and that she at some point can drive herself there. I also received word this morning that they have an opening for her to go inpatient. She has needed to be inpatient in rehab so that she can get exercise and rehab every day, 5 days a week, instead of at home where it can only happen 2 days a week. So that's an example of a participant that we've worked closely with and who has made real strides. And I just think that is so wonderful. That is what is so wonderful about SASH, that we can help be the provider in between when people really have no one in the home, but they need everything. We can come in and help facilitate these steps. So thank you.
Hi there, I'm Jess Grover. For most of you who don't know me, I am the SASH for All wellness nurse, and I am the new SASH coordinator at our new site in Bellas Falls. I'm here today to talk to you about one of our newest partnerships, which is with the Windham County Humane Society. This partnership pretty much happened kind of organically because my sister, Carrie Roberts, is the director of operations. But more importantly, this partnership also took place because we had an animal on our property that unfortunately had a sad ending because it had not been properly vaccinated. And as most of you know, in the state of Vermont, it is a requirement for cats and dogs to be vaccinated against rabies. Sorry, again, not a public speaker. I went into nursing purely to get away from public speaking. As someone who works in housing, I had to ask myself, how can we prevent something like this from happening again? And so I went to my sister for advice, and she said, education is the key. Education and access to resources. We at Brattleboro Housing Partnerships we're very, very fortunate to have lovely community space like this one to be able to offer to our community providers for use. And I said, well, is there any chance that we could use this space at some of our properties to help bring those services that the Humane Society offers to our residents? And thus we have had 2 clinics thus far, and they have seen over 20 animals that have received anywhere from vaccinations to nail trimmings to flea and tick treatment and deworming, even blood tests at 2 of our clinics. And our next clinic is coming up this Wednesday at Moore Court from 10 to noon-ish. But the key is that most of us feel that our animals are important factors in our life. They're not just pets, they're parts of our family, and it's very important to be able to take care of them. But a lot of folks don't have access to easy transportation to the Humane Society on Route 30, and as we know, it's like pulling teeth to get the mover to go down that way. So I am very fortunate and to have this communication with my sister and to have this relationship to be able to bring these services to our residents and hopefully eventually expand upon those over time and maybe make it an annual thing. Thank you.
Hi. Hello, thank you. Thanks, Jess. My name is Jeff Rose, for those of you who don't know me. And I am really a little different on the fact that I am one of those collaborations. So I am an employee at Brattleboro Retreat, and I am embedded or contracted with Brattleboro Housing Partnership in Wyndham and Windsor as well. 50% of my time one place and 50% the other. And so what my position primarily is to meet with the participants / clients at their residence, in the community, at one of our agencies, whatever works for them that particular day. And I like that because it's flexible for them, and I get out, so it's a win-win. And so my collaborations are mainly, or sub-collaborations, so they're going to be with members on my own team. So Jake Bursky here, for example, and Jess on Brattleboro Housing team. And so if I'm needed to be with them when they're introducing some new information to the participants or getting them connected with a counselor or therapist, they bring me along. And then we can discuss those needs. And at that time, I would be working with that particular person on that day. If they want to go forward, we can. If they don't, we don't have to. So that's a neat thing about this position as a counselor, unlike in a community mental health center where there's a lot of restrictions because of the demands in those particular organizations. So there's a lot of flexibility that I have with the participants. In addition, I can help them work on issues that they need, whether it is more long-term mental health issues, getting connected with a therapist with, say, for example, the HCRS, or with issues related to substance use with Turning Point, etc. And in addition, even though it's medical, not mental health, but I can help those folks also get in touch and get reintroduced to a lot of their medical issues that have, in many cases, have been without for an extended period of time. And that is so important because a lot of issues with mental health issues, with housing issues, a lot of times can start with medical. And so we want to rule that out. So we need to check and see what medical issues are related there too. So there again, other collaborations with, of course, the hospital, the community hospital here, and also with their own private practitioners or getting them set up with those. So those are a few things that I do individually. And in addition, I can do some group therapy, and that can vary. It can be from working with the children, family, or with some of the adolescents. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I'm talking about group and individual. And so couples counseling occasionally, so briefly. Again, a lot of that stuff is brief, and if it needs to go further, then my job is help get them connected with whatever agency they need to in the community to do that, whether it's family therapy, further counseling therapy, issues, crisis issues, again, HCRS, other private practitioners. And so in a nutshell, I am one of those those persons. That's the collaboration, and I just kind of am a jack of all trades when I meet with folks. So there I am again, Jeff Rose. Thank you all.
All right. Hey guys, so I'm Jake. I've had the great pleasure of being the SASH for All coordinator with Brattleboro Housing Partnerships since the program was initiated in 2022. I work with families that reside at Ledgewood Heights and Moore Court to provide housing retention and healthcare support. Although our internal team, Jeff and Jess, who you already met, provide service of the utmost quality and care, we simply cannot do this work without our community partners. The core group of the SASH for All MOU team meets on a monthly basis to discuss challenging cases, share resources, and maintain genuine connection with other organizations that help provide a safety net for our residents. I want to take a minute to feature some of our partners that ensure our participants are able to remain in their homes regardless of the adverse life experiences that they encounter. Art in the Neighborhood has had a lasting partnership with BHP that spans for about a decade. Their teachers facilitate weekly art classes for each family property that are completely free of charge for participants. Their program lead, Molly Burke, and the rest of her team have shown tireless commitment to encouraging young people to use their imagination and express themselves through their creations. Turning Point of Windham County, likely well known to most in attendance, provides vital support to families that are enduring or supporting a loved one with substance use disorder. Their wide variety of programming, intimate knowledge of the communities they serve, and compassion allow families to access services without fear of judgment. The Winston Prouty Center keeps a focus on providing support and enrichment to the youngest of our residents through their many programs. Whether it's the Early Learning Center, the Bookmobile, or community-based services, we trust that they are taking care of children and their families. SEVCA, Southeast Vermont Community Action, has proven to be vital in housing retention through their Help Fund and Housing Opportunities Program funds. Residents are encouraged to reach out to the SASH for All team if they're at risk of losing their housing due to rental arrears, and SEVCA helps guide us to a sustainable plan for paying off the debts that have accrued. We've made over 15 referrals to SEVCA that helped families stay in their home, and we have been successful 100% of the time so far. Windham and Windsor Housing Trust have been engaged in parallel play through their facilitation of their own SASH for All program since its rollout in 2022. They are regular attendees of the MOU meetings, share information and resources openly, and have been successful in supporting their own residents through a variety of challenges. One newer development in our program is the proliferation of resident-led programs. The playground that was built at Ledgewood benefited greatly from the input and participation of BHP residents, adults, and children alike. Residents have been able to utilize our community development funds, awarded by the Crosby Gannett Fund, to host parties and build positive connections with neighbors. They dream big and are not afraid of doing some hard work to make memories together. That being said, it's not all fun and games when it comes to resident activities. When we need to get down to business, we turn to the Resident Advisory and Communications Committee. We have representatives from several BHP sites that meet monthly to review board activities, advocate for their communities, and act as liaisons for the properties that they represent. Finally, we come to the Brattleboro Fire Department. Starting in 2023, we have increased communication between our organizations to promote positive outcomes for the health and safety of our residents. We try to convene quarterly meetings to review high utilizers, make plans for sustainability, and provide updates on our organizational resources. I thank you for the opportunity to share more about these collaborations. It truly takes a village to support our town.
Hi, I'm Lorelei Morissette, and I'm the Resident Services and Staffing Director. And I oversee the SASH for All, and LEAP programs, and soon to be Ross as well. You've heard many of these different collaborations that we've talked about today, but I really want to highlight one that's been especially helpful in my position. In my position, I respond to situations where residents are in crisis or higher level of need, where our wellness and services coordinators need additional support. A very important collaboration started for the wellness and services team in the end of March 2023, after Knowles Wentworth was embedded in the Brattleboro Police Department as a police liaison.
We're excited of the addition of Kira Rideout to the police liaison team when she came and met with the Wellness and Services team mid-April 2024. Both Knowles and Kira work with the community to provide an array of supports, including direct support to the community members who are in crisis or have experienced a trauma in which law enforcement officers are involved. They also provide assistance to law enforcement to ensure that people are connected to the proper system of care. They offer these services to our residents and work side by side with the Wellness and Services team to support residents through some very challenging situations. We are thankful for this wonderful collaboration, and we have these two amazing police liaisons. So I just want to thank Knowles and Kira for your support.
Thank you all. And thank you everyone who presented. I know that wasn't easy, and I just so appreciate it to highlight the important work that's being done. I think it's easy to be overlooked sometimes, and so thank you so much for having the courage to stand up and do that. And thank you for the community partners. Very briefly, I'm just going to say something about the Ledgewood playground. So in 2020, we decided in the beginning of COVID that the playground was really unsafe. It wasn't unsafe because of COVID. It was unsafe because it was old and it was wooden and it was just beyond repair. And so during that time, we tore it down thinking, we're going to build a new one in like a year. It won't cost that much. It'll be fine. Well, as COVID costs went through the roof and people were building more and more outdoor play structures, we realized that the $50,000 we budgeted was really going to be about $140,000. And that just was not in the BHP budget. You know, with all the other things that we have to deal with between snow removal and elevators breaking down and all the pieces that have a higher priority, it just kept getting pushed down to the bottom. Well, there were several people in our organization that did not let it go, but there were two people in particular that just kept it on our radar. And those two people was Lorelei Morissette and Jeanette White. Lorelei Morissette just said, we have to do this. And every time we would talk about something else, she would bring it up. And so we re-engaged our nonprofit, which is called Brattleboro Housing Opportunities, Inc. And we started to raise money. Now, we're a federally funded housing authority. We don't know anything about raising money. But Jeanette really supported us, and she started writing letters, and she started reaching out to people, and she just would not let it go. And today we have this beautiful playground, and I have to say, I think it's the most beautiful playground in town. I think it's so nice. We bought a beautiful pavilion, a place for so many of our residents to go and spend time together, and I'm just so thankful for that. So Jeanette cannot be here today, unfortunately, but Lorelei's here, so I'm going to embarrass her a little bit more because I'd like to offer her an award to say thank you and a little bit of recognition for all of her hard work and not letting these dreams go. This is something that will be here for probably longer than some of us will be, and so thank you so much, Lorelei. Thank you. And unfortunately, Jeanette wasn't here, but she also played a huge part in this, so we thank her so much. So with that, I think and on top of that at all, we had 3 youth leaders who were not able to be here today because, I don't know, there's school. But we have 3 youth leaders from Ledgewood that helped not only to design it, but helped on the day to help us put it together and spread lots of mulch, and they were active in our celebration, so we're going to be awarding them the 3 leaders as well.
Thank you. So part of our annual meeting is we have a short monthly board meeting. So we are going to continue our business as usual briefly. So I'd like to call to order our November Brattleboro Housing Partnership board meeting. So we like to start each meeting with resident or community member comments and participation. So I'd like to pass the microphone to anyone in the audience who'd like to say a few brief words.
I just want to put a question to, we need a SASH person in this building, and we haven't been getting the monthly calendars that people rely on. So when we didn't get that, I missed out on the pediatry for your toes. So we need those communications keep going and need a person in this building, okay?
Thank you.
And just so we know, we just hired someone luckily. So, and they should be starting hopefully this month, or no, December, early December. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Got another question?
With the homelessness here in Brattleboro, I would like to take a minute to find out what Brattleboro Housing is going to be doing to keep the squatters out this winter and down in the building behind us. It is a concern. I've seen them go down there. I've gone out at night, waiting for somebody or going to Walgreens. I don't feel comfortable here without somebody being present on the, around the buildings at night. It is a concern.
And I will say, just really briefly, that that's a concern for, I think, all over town right now. It's not just here. And so I think in some ways, and this isn't the perfect answer, but we have a very, we have secure buildings. So we have locked systems, we have fob systems. Not every housing site, including some of ours, have that. And so some of the older buildings, but I think that you're absolutely right, and I think that we're constantly looking at better ways of improving safety in our community. We have a huge resource list, which is over here, as well as magnets for the police department that have the and all of that stuff. So continuing to let people know, I think that makes a big difference.
Mine's not a question, mine's a comment. I know that we have difficult times around us and different issues that housing has to deal with. And I just want to say, it's easy to criticize, but there's a lot that goes into what they do, the housing does each day. And I commend Brattleboro Housing because I think they're doing a great job. Yes, I don't care where you live, you're going to have some issues. But they have done great by us here, and I'm thankful for it.
Well, that's very nice. And it's a job, we continue to do this work every day. We don't relax on things. We just keep moving forward. And so I will say we've had a tremendous amount of issues in many years. I think there are some people here who lived through the flood at Irene, and they saw that Brattleboro Housing stepped in and dealt with that. We try to expect things before they happen, and we try to prevent what we can. And when we can't, we react as much as we possibly can to those things, and we just keep moving forward. And that's what all we can do at this point. And so, thank you. I appreciate it. But it's not, it's not a thing that we just settle on and we just move away. We just work on things all the time. So we're continuing to try to make better and I would say more realistic approaches to supporting everybody in our housing, but also in the community.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all for your comments, and thank you, Christine, for everything that you do. Each month we get board packets, so we will review these packets before each meeting, and the monthly minutes are posted on our website. So can I have a motion to accept the minutes from October 28th, our regular meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes from the October 28th meeting.
Thanks. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. So each year we elect officers. So the current board position, chair of the board position, and the vice chair board of the position. So each year we we have the opportunity to elect new officials. So now's the time that I would like to have a nomination for the board chair of the Brattleboro Housing Partnerships.
Make a motion to elect Elisha Underwood as the board chair for the Brattleboro Housing Partnerships.
Second that motion.
All in favor? All right, thank you. May I have May I have a nomination to elect the co-chair or the vice chair of the board of Brattleboro Housing Partnerships? Okay, Pat, thank you.
I nominate Michelle.
Michelle Wright, I second that nomination. All in favor to elect Michelle Wright as co-chair? Aye. Great, thank you. Okay, and also one of those positions, the secretary. I'd like to nominate Christine Hazard as secretary of Brattleboro Housing Partnerships Board. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Thank you. So one thing that's timely that we need to propose a motion for is the tax credits of 2025 budgets that were reviewed prior to the meeting. So may I have a motion to, or are there any comments about these before we make a motion? No?
I'll make a motion to accept 2025 budget for RCC 1 and 2 and A.W. Richards.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Great. So thank you for bearing with us with this quick board meeting, and I'd like a motion to adjourn this meeting today.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. And please enjoy the refreshments that are set in the back. Thank you so much.
For being here.